Hi, good morning, everyone. I am Aprajita Rally, and I am the middle school coordinator at Pathway School, Noida. I've been teaching for the past 27 years, and I am heavy on technology integration. For me, it's a student's life, and that's how I center all my teaching and learning processes around, as I'm sure all of us do. Another thing that really has started mattering to me for the past 10, 12 years is how to integrate activities and engage students in a manner that they own their learning. And that is, the main task why I'm here today, to enable all of us to create help create opportunities for students so that we are strengthening their teaching learning processes, and also making them the action force that we need so much for the 20th 21st century. Of course, we're looking at developing the skills, and we're also looking at them, driving their own teaching learning processes. But without teacher support, without the background, and without the framework that the teachers will provide, this is actually not possible, and we all know that. So, what I have intended around is to look at sustainable development goals and bringing them into our service learning, bringing them into our active teaching learning processes, so that it also gives the opportunity for teachers to, take through different areas of the the real world, bringing in the global context, and allowing them to think about the world in a way that everybody is at the same platform, to understand the inequalities and the inequities that are prevalent, and also having a voice in the development process of the world. Of course, across globally, we also have many projects which have been launched by absolutely enlightened educators, which are teacher enablers. Something like the SDG Ambassador Project, the online PBLs. Those are huge enablers for teachers. I found over the years, as I have investigated into my teaching learning processes, I have understood that the day I started with integration of the Sustainable Development Goals into my teaching, I was able to develop more robust planning, and my learning outcome was more measured, more achievable, and I think that's the aim for a teacher. Uh, the students in my class are more, I don't have to be on their heads to actually all the time be carrying my teaching learning process. They are more hands on, they are more driven and motivated. There are times that even in a classroom scenario, I'll tell them, okay, I'm stepping out for 5 minutes, and I do that on purpose. I might just go and stand outside the class, and I'll tell them, okay, you decide, you take your decisions, you tell me what you want to do. And when you come back, one is never, one never finds that your confidence is misplaced, because they've always held their ground, and they've always been true to the learning that you have imparted onto them. Often I have had teachers who wanted to know the why and the how of teaching of the SDG. So what I'm doing right now through this talk is to delve into that and looking at addressing basically five very significant questions, which is what are the SDG goals, and why do we need to look at them for the students? What does a sustainable world look like? Why is it in students' interest to know about the goals? How can teachers teach them, and what are some of the unique ways that they can be taught in? If we were to look at the most enthusiastic teachers, also sometimes struggle to sort of prioritize the goal in their daily day-to-day teaching practice, which means, and it takes a lot of extra work, because planning, looking at the outcome, making it appear that it's absolutely student driven, but you have the checkpoints, you have the exits, and you have a constant in touch with the student approach. So, how can you include all of this in a regular subject classroom? And for the most important, what are the resources available for schools and teachers to do this. So I'm just going to be looking at these through one by one, and I'm hoping that by the end of it, I will be able to leave you all with quite resolved answers. So yeah, just jumping into it. So there have been different ways that I've been looking at the SDGs to enable the process, as I said. One, we look at creating SDG clubs in the school, and have students enlist and enroll for themselves for it. There is always a core team, and they decide on what the agenda will be, how they will be taking it through. So we divide it into the 17 groups, and the whole class gets engaged with that. That is one way of doing it. The other way that I did it was through an interdisciplinary approach. So what we did was we had a big idea, global context. Using that year we used fairness and development, and we said that okay, so choose any SDG which you think aligns you most to how you have decoded the global context, fairness and development. So that means that everybody in the world must get the equal share of resources. Now those resources could be in terms of education, could be in terms of food, could be in terms of women empowerment, could be in terms of sustainable living. It's up to you, and the choice was left to the student. So once the students decided their SDG, and then we told them to align that chosen SDG with the overarching global context with a certain subject. So the core subjects they had to choose from, and it could be anything that they took from English or individuals and societies or humanities section or the science section. And after that they had to plan their whole project and into creating a product. Now how that went was, that was a beautiful way of doing it. I'll share some PDFs with you, which was the outcome of the children, how they did that. So once I have aligned myself with an SDG, say women empowerment, and I am looking at the subject, the children took up INS and they took up English, which is two subjects. So the interdisciplinary approach comes there. We have the global context, fairness and development. We are looking at women empowerment. So the four things are sorted here. Now, keeping this in mind, we are looking at identifying the issues that are existing in the society. It could be globally, and it could be focused on a community issue which they are seeing around their own scenario, how they are surviving. So that brings in the service element also for them. And once that all is fixed, the teacher is monitoring them right through. Okay, let's do this, let's fix this, let's know this is create a research question around it. Or you might not want to get into such details, you might not have that kind of time. So all those things deliberations go on with. Post that, once that is fixed, they've identified even the issue that they want to work on, they start looking at the government policies that are existing. That brings in the INS element of the governance and how the politics are run, or how the policies are made, how laws are passed, how it has been, the historical perspective, and all so on and so forth. And that is their disciplinary grounding. Then the student goes on to look at the other aspects of how they can themselves suggest change. And the suggestion of change is their research, is their investigation, is their communication. They are also writing campaigns. They are talking about getting in touch with government authorities, trying to find out what is actually happening on ground, bringing comparative studies between one country and the other. And so looking at again the poetic devices or the literary devices of English. And so that is the second disciplinary grounding. And having done that, then they look at suggestive policies, wherein they feel that, okay, there are loopholes here, let's look at how we can resolve the issue. That resolution comes through the outer core subjects, their portfolio subjects, which is probably the design or digital design or music or drama or art, which is their creative expression. So that is the product that they are talking of. So this is a very, very encompassing unit, and it took them about 8 months. We assigned them one lesson every alternate week, and some of them worked in groups, some of them work individually. They made presentations, they had their action plans, they had their research orientation, they used primary, secondary resources. So it was a beautiful project by the end of it, and when we all together as a group reflected, the students and us, we found it very comprehensive, and we showcased it in front of an audience. We had a shared experience with the school community and the parents of the students. So it was a complete project based learning approach through the interdisciplinary aspect, of course keeping in mind the SDGs. So that went very well again with the school, and that was a huge enabler for teachers also, because we could sort of under the umbrella wind up a lot of subjects that we put in, and plus let the students drive it. So we could take a back seat and see how it is going, which normally if we are taking the fourth runner's role in a classroom scenario, we're not able to do that. So that really went well. I'll be putting up the images and certain videos for this for you all to have a look at. Another approach that worked fantastically well was, letting students lead through the SDGs was through the CAS programs that they enlisted themselves in. So whether it was at grade 9 or it was at grade 8, also for their community project, we had the students brainstorming their own work, and as a whole class, first they brainstormed what general topics and what general areas that the community needed. So they talked about hunger, they talked about homelessness, they talked about animals, they talked about underprivileged children. And once the ideas were generated from the students, then the students sort of enlisted themselves and volunteered to work on these different mini projects. What started off as a mini project, and there were children working in different areas of their own interest. So we landed up doing excellent amount of work through service learning projects. So this carried on for about 8-9 months, and again students were allotted school time, a period of 40 minutes every alternate week with supervisors, but supervisors were just there to look at the disciplining, look at the infrastructure, providing them with the wherewithal, but everything else was student driven. So even if they had to contact a resource person, or if they had to look at the agency or the NGO, or if any agency or NGO actually rejected them, all of that was the students self-learning. There were times that they were not allowed to use the phones in the classroom, obviously not, so they had to go down, take permission from the principal first to use the phone in the office, then call up the NGO. It was wrong timing that they called up the NGO, and so that whole resilience building came through also from that. And what was so beautiful for an educator to see there was how you were letting them evolve into grown individuals while they are sending out proposals to the principals, to the agencies outside, to the partnering NGOs, or even if they wanted to fundraise. There were students who were writing to the MDs of Nestle Maggie to donate some Maggie's packets so that they could have the sale and have the fund risen from there. It was a huge responsibility that the students were able to take on themselves, and teachers that they were able to reflect and plan on the next stage very unobtrusively. So they were basically invisible, and the children were absolutely moving on in their own directions. So again, very enabling. We had children working for the underprivileged group. We had children working for the blind. So for the blind, they created braille and lessons. They created audio lessons. For the hearing impaired, children first learned the sign language, and they created very beautiful presentations for them. just to see and just to learn from there with the sign languages. There were children, a group of children used to actually go and paint the walls of the school, and excellent work children have done there. Plus, for the underprivileged children, we had a group of children. Again, they volunteered, and the school supported, of course. They went and they trained these children into good touch, bad touch. So they had workshops for girls and boys, and all driven by the children themselves. What used to happen was they used to make these presentations, share them with us, and if we okayed the quality of it, then they went ahead and presented it. That was another group. Then there was a group which was working for the animal shelter. They had adopted an animal shelter. They raised about 38,000 at one time. And the other time they raised my medicines worth 54,000. So, and this is all done by grade 9 children. So there weren't any boundaries that they knew. We had enabled them in so many ways. They were able to explore and engage with so many issues that probably they didn't even know existed. There was this whole idea of entrepreneurship that came out, where children were creating their own bookmarks and selling them, and then made money to donate to the agency that they were working for. So fantastic projects came out from there also. There was one time that they worked with the Tapovan, the environment protection group, and they created around Earth Day. They created posters, they created videos, they created Twitter accounts. There is another group which is working with the women empowerment. They are, they've been approached by so many agencies to come and share their experiences. There is one group which is working for which is talking about creating awareness about the periods which the women have, and how there is a taboo in our country or in many countries wherein people are not talking about it, or how people are dealing, or women are dealing with those. So those again became very, very comprehensive projects, and way beyond the teacher's purview. There were times that we were prepared with what children were coming up with. Many a times we also had to step out of our comfort zones and relook and rethink at how we were looking at the situation on ground, and what would we do if these kind of things came up to us. Children were working as entrepreneurs, or as interns with agencies and NGOs. Right through the lockdown, I've had children working through it all. And these were all, again, because they had the knowledge of the SDGs. So they knew where exactly their focus areas are. So it was very interesting to see that the subjects taught in class actually triggered off the positive vibes for the children.